Hey everyone, it's Coach Emily. I just got back from doing a pretty big grocery run for our family for the month. We kind of live far out of town, and so I tend to do a larger run once a month and then kind of fill in the gaps, as the month goes on and we run out of especially the fresh stuff, fruits and veggies, that sort of thing. But I try and get a lot of our meat, like all at once. And so we're just set on protein as far as at least meat for the month. And then, you never have to be like short on something to cook. You can always pull out a piece of protein and make something with it. So I know a lot of people are interested in just like what it looks like to do this as a family and what it looks like to feed a bunch of people a lot of protein, and just kind of how we go about thinking about that as a larger family. We aren't a huge family, but we have 4 kids, and our oldest is a teenager at this point who eats as much as my husband does, and then we have 3 other ones coming up, and they all eat a decent amount, and Justin eats a lot for your average man. I mean, I don't know if he eats more calories because the calorie consumption in America is so skewed right now because of processed and fast foods and convenience foods and things like that, but he does eat a decent amount of calories, definitely a lot of volume every day. Even if for somebody in a diet, he still eats a lot of food, especially a lot of protein, and we do try and get the majority of our protein from meat, eggs, dairy. The protein shakes are more of like a fun supplement, or just something more like a snack. It's not the subsistence of our diets. And so I thought I would just kind of show you guys what I bought today and kind of give you the heads up of like why I bought what I bought, the kind of meals I'm planning to prepare with it, and just give you guys kind of a look into like how we actually do this. We've been really prioritizing our eating a lot better the past probably 5 to 6 years. We've been lifting, very seriously for about 8 years now, but we lifted without much of a change in diet for about 3 to 4 of those years. And then like late 2019, when Justin first started competing, is when we really started to take the diet element a little more seriously. And then early 2020, like after he competed, we kind of we're even more determined to be like, okay, we really want to do all of this as a family and figure out what that looks like, and have it also be practical, and also have it be delicious, because we believe food is a gift from God meant to be enjoyed and indulged in, once in a while, but even on the everyday basis, like it should be enjoyable to sit down with your family and have a nice meal like every night. And so how do we do that without all the sugar and all the fat, and also prioritizing, different elements as far as omega-3s and the quality of your protein, and what does that look like for our diet, to have regular meals that are like that, and to have to be able for me to cook, a meal that is regular for our family, and not worry about, measuring everything and counting everything out and that sort of thing. We just really took more seriously in beginning of 2020 as far as like, what does that look like for us? What are meals that work for this? What are flavors that work for this? What are meats that meet these requirements, and side dishes and all of that sort of thing. And so now that's just how we eat. We have kind of worked on this for a long time, and so that's just how we eat now. So anyway, I'll go inside. I have all my protein laid out on the counter, and I will just kind of walk you guys through what I bought and why I bought it and what I'm going to cook with it, and kind of how we use what we use. Today I went to a few different stores. I went to our restaurant supply store, our local restaurant supply. I get a lot of pork and beef there. They have the best prices, and it is good quality. It is not organic. I don't think anything that I bought today is organic. I really don't worry about organic when I'm buying from the store. We have a freezer with a pig and fish and other things in it that are like, either from local families that we've bought from, or friends. Sometimes, we have a friend that fishes a lot, and he will give us this wonderful fish that he just has too much of. And so we have other meats like in our freezer. So this isn't a complete package of what we eat, or even as far as the quality. But I don't really worry about getting organic. You can kind of learn what good quality meat looks like. And after eating it, as if you develop kind of that palate, what's good and what's bad. And so I went to our local restaurant supply store where I get most of our beef and pork. on a regular basis, and it is just the best price and for the best quality is what I have found. And then I get our chicken, most of our chicken at Costco. So you guys are probably familiar with that. And then I got a few like other odds and ends at our local Fred Meyer, you know, sausages and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'll walk you through what I bought. It's not perfect, but it works for our family. And I'll kind of explain what I'm going to make with it and how we just go about doing it. Okay, everyone, so here's kind of the spread of what I bought today. This is a lot of the meat we're gonna eat this month. It's not everything, but is a lot of it. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have some things that I had already bought this month. It wasn't a ton, so I think I had like a pound of shrimp or something that I bought, or a couple pounds of shrimp. And you know, we also have freezer pork and fish, and I think I have like a couple turkeys in there that I bought from Thanksgiving. I'll cook a whole turkey and we'll use it for sandwich meat or other things throughout the month. I am planning to cook a turkey this month, and so I will cook that as well, but this is a decent amount. And so let's just kind of go over what I got. This is just, you know, everybody recognizes the Oscar Mayer sandwich meat. Yeah, family size. I got 2 of these. It's obviously for sandwiches. You know, we don't use it for much else other than sandwiches. We like to grill sandwiches on sourdough. And that's the main thing. But my kids, I have a couple of my younger kids will also do like a cold ham and cheese. So it's nice to just be able to open up a package of deli meat once in a while, put it on a piece of bread with a piece of cheese and some toppings, and do that for them. And they enjoy that. We'll also use this if we do, like, we will occasionally do like grilled ham and cheese for dinner. And so we can, Justin will use like half of this container, you know, on his grilled ham and cheese, and then we can kind of portion out for everybody else. I also got some breakfast sausage here. I didn't really want to get the Walmart breakfast sausage, but that's what I ended up with today. So I got 3 of those. I also have more breakfast sausage in our freezer in the garage. So this isn't quite all of it, but I kind of got this as like a supplement. You know, I'll use this if we have company or if we are making an egg bake or something like that where the sausage quality doesn't matter quite as much. This is what I get normally for our ground beef. This is these 91% lean, 9% fat chubs from Costco. I got 3 of these. I had gotten 1 already in the month. There's only 2 here. But I get 3 of these most months. And so just for reference, like a lot of our meals, I'm using at least 2 pounds. A lot of our dinners, I should say, I'm using at least 2 pounds of meat. And so my teenager eats just as much as Justin does. Justin eats a lot, and then I obviously need to consume a lot of protein as well. And our kids, we always make sure that they're getting some. So anyway, this is what I do for ground beef. For ground beef, we'll do tacos, we will do hamburgers, we'll do enchiladas. I'll do these little sliders on homemade buns sometimes, and so that's a lot of our ground beef use. So, and that actually brings me to tacos. I wanted to talk about this because I like to get the Kroger chorizo. If you look at the macros on this, it's not amazing, okay, as any sort of sausage would be. But this is one of the best chorizos I've actually found for fat content. So it's not, look at that, double the fat of the protein. So that is far from ideal, right, guys? But the flavor is good, and it's actually not that bad for chorizo. If you guys have ever bought chorizo, you know what I'm talking about. So what I will do is when we make tacos, I will mix this with a pound of this, so a pound to a pound, because this is very flavorful and fatty, and that cutting it with a leaner ground beef really brings the fat content down. So, and if I can make an even leaner ground beef than this, I will mix it with this, and that helps a ton. So then you get the flavor of the chorizo, but it cuts way back on the fat content for like the meat that you're putting in your tacos. So we do that fairly often because we love the flavor of this. But man, it's just too fatty to have by itself on a regular basis. And so I got 3 pounds of that. We do a lot of tacos, especially in the summer. It's just great and super fast and easy for our family. And you can do great tacos with like any good quality cheese, onion, meat, tortilla, you know, or some sour cream, and then you're good to go, or have a salad with it and you're great to go. This is another, so I got a couple processed things here, you know, along with the deli meat. I got these chicken chunks. These we do a few things with. They're good for kid lunches. They can just put them in the air fryer and make them themselves, and they actually are decent as far as macros go. 16 grams protein per serving. I mean, they have some carbs too, but the fat is not too bad on them. for what you're eating. And so these are good for my kids. They will make chicken sandwiches out of chicken sandwiches out of them. They will do wraps out of them. They will just eat the chicken. They know how to make a chicken salad with these sometimes. And so I get those mostly for kids, and then for lunches during the week. They're just could be really easy if we don't have leftovers. They can throw them in the air fryer, and they know what to make with them. And sometimes they'll just eat the chicken, honestly. So it's a great, easy thing. So that's kind of one of the cheats we do with the kids. This is another thing I pick up, especially for my 2 older boys, because they really like burrito bowls and tacos and quesadillas, and they're old enough to like make them by themselves. And so if I don't have any, I try and have like chicken breasts prepped or chicken thighs prepped that are, you know, easy to throw in stuff. But if I don't, which happens, right? Life happens. These are nice to have around. They can just open up one packet of these. 140 calories, 24 protein, 3.5 fat, and they'll put a whole package of that on a salad, in a wrap, on a sandwich, in a quesadilla. And my older 2 can do that totally by themselves. And so I keep like maybe like 3 or 4 of these out just in the fridge, and just in case we're like in a rush and I'm like, hey, go make this real quick, throw it in a taco, throw it in a quesadilla, and they can do that really fast for themselves. And so those are kind of our 2, I guess you could say, like kid splurges or whatever. They're a little more processed than what we normally go for, but in a pinch they're still getting protein in, and it's like decent macros even. It's not covered in sugar or anything like that. I don't even think this one has oil. Let's see. No, it's chicken breast, water, dehydrated chicken broth, vinegar. So this is all fairly natural stuff in here. There's not even, the preservative would probably be the vinegar, and a little bit of the rice starch. So, I mean, I feel fine about giving my kids that. It's not, is it as ideal as you taking some fresh chicken and cooking it yourself? No, but you know what? I'm fine with it. So I also got pepperoni. I get the uncured pepperoni. This is just a little better quality because we do homemade pizza fairly frequently. It's just something we totally enjoy doing. And so we've done homemade pizza forever. That's not as high protein of a meal, obviously, when we make homemade pizza, but you know what? That's okay. I'm going to try, this is a new thing for me. I am going to try and make some gumbo this month. And so I got this along with the shrimp. So if any of you, obviously this is going to be terrible at sausage macros, but I don't really care. It's going to be a fun meal. And the shrimp is very lean, so it's going to complement this just fine in a whole pot of gumbo. So if any of you have tips for making gumbo, leave them in the comments. I would love all your tips because I've never made it before, but that's something new I'm going to try this month. So coming around here, you guys are all going to recognize these. These are the giant things of chicken, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I like to get the boneless, skinless. The bone-in does cook up a little nicer, but this just saves me time to not have to take skin off or bones out. And so these are what I buy almost every month. The chicken breasts, I will honestly only get if we're getting a little desperate, like we need to eat really lean meat or something. But these taste so much better than breast, you guys. And it's not a ton more fat. Most people can just absorb the fat in a thigh, especially a boneless, skinless thigh versus a breast. And so go chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts. They taste seriously like 10 times better. So I got 3 of these. So we will use these as well as the pork tenderloin. I might as well point out the pork tenderloin real quick. These I got at the restaurant display. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. Each of them weigh between 2.5 and 3 pounds. So one of these is like a dinner for us, okay? I will use these and these kind of interchangeably. They cook up very similarly. The cost is very similar, and they're both very versatile. So I will use both of these, okay? Pork tenderloin and chicken in our Asian dishes. I'll use them in tacos. I'll use them in soup. These are what we use for Justin's lunches. Will either be pork tenderloin or chicken thighs. It'll be barbecue or burrito bowl type style. I will use them for barbecue. I will use them in salads. I will use them if we make homemade chicken fingers. I will season them and cook them in the oven and have them with veggies. I will throw these on chicken, especially on pasta. Sometimes I smoke the pork tenderloin or the chicken thighs. So these cuts are just very versatile. You can throw them in so many things that are just like meat and rice or meat and potatoes. And they end up tasting great as long as you cook them to the right temperature, okay? So those are my rock stars. I got a flank steak this time at the Restaurant Supply. I don't always get flank steak because this is a little bit pricier, but especially in the summer, I like to do flank steak tacos. Or there's an Asian dish that actually has excellent macros. It's called like a Mongolian beef that I like to make in the summer. And so I got some flank steak because summer's right around the corner. And flank steak, if you're looking for cuts of steak, flank steak and tri-tip are the ones that I usually go for macros and not being super fatty, okay? These are, if you were looking for cheap protein, you guys, I got almost 17 pounds of boneless pork shoulder. And I got it at the Restaurant Supply for under $2 a pound. I can almost always get this at Restaurant Supply for under $2 a pound. So obviously pork butts are a fattier cut than what we're eating like all the time. But it is cheap. And so if you need to feed a family or you need to feed company, or you're just looking to get cheap protein, this is one of the cheapest things you can get. And I am particular to the Restaurant Supply ones because they are almost always been really good quality. And so I will use these for gyro meat. We like to make pork gyros sometimes, and then I will put that in the Instant Pot with a bunch of seasonings, sear it up, and then broil it afterwards after you shred it and everything. It'll make really good gyro meat. I also love to smoke these, obviously. Like, these make the best barbecue pork that you can get. They also make great barbecue pork in a slow cooker in an Instant Pot if you don't have a smoker or you just don't want to mess with smoking. If you need to feed a crowd, make like a go get some pork butts. Like, that is a lot of meat. You could feed a crowd with one of these, which I do frequently in the summer. Okay. And throw it with some potatoes or some cornbread and a salad, and you have got a really cheap, high protein meal. And you can make your own barbecue sauces if you want. You can change the seasoning on it. Like, a rub for these is like so easy to do, like a brown sugar based rub or just a barbecue sauce based rub. And then this is a lot of meat. And the cool thing, I don't know the macros exactly, but the cool thing about the pork butts, if you smoke them, a lot of the fat does drip off, and they usually have a fat cap, on this side, and you'll want to cook it with the fat cap down if you smoke it, and that protects it from some of that high heat. But also a lot of that fat is just going to drip down into the smoker while you're cooking it. And so obviously it's still a fattier cut of meat, but it is going to render out to be leaner after you smoke it. And so that's kind of a cool trick that you can kind of get around. And so that's what I will do with these pork butts. They'll end up either barbecue or gyro meat for the most part. Occasionally I will also make carnita meat. These also make awesome carnitas. And carnitas are not a hard thing to make. And again, tacos are so cheap. Burrito bowls are so cheap and feed a lot of people. And so if you're looking for cheap protein, find somewhere that sells high quality pork butts, and you can get them seriously under $2 a pound. And I live in a more expensive area of the country as far as groceries, so I'm sure most of you maybe even might be able to get it for, like, I've seen it for 99 cents a pound before, like on sale. So that is kind of the roundup. I don't think I missed anything here. Again, I have more breakfast sausage in the freezer. I have Italian sausage. I have some turkeys and some other things in the freezer as far as what we'll be consuming for our meat. But these are kind of the day in, day out. Here's what we got going on. And here's just what I bought today. And this was, I added it all up, 89 pounds of protein. And this is pretty typical for me. This is not unusual. This is pretty much what I buy every month to supplement what we have in the freezer. And so for the 6 of us, that's just what it takes. That's what it takes for everybody to get their protein in and be fed well. And we do not really eat out. For us, we might eat out once a month, but even that, it doesn't always happen. So we're not a fast food family, both because of cost and just health consciousness. So so this is what it looks like to cook mostly at home and feed a big family, being pretty protein centric. And so if you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you have any critiques or any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And so this is kind of what it looks like to feed our family of 6 as far as protein needs, minus some freezer stuff. So I hope that was helpful for some of you guys. You know, each family looks different as far as what your preferences are, what kind of food you like to eat, how you like to cook, how skilled of a cook you are, and that sort of things. And so that is one of the things we help people with at High Calling, is that, you know, if you have questions about what to cook or what's okay or what are good things to look for, like, our coaches would even share recipes with you. Like, we do that. That's something that we do, and we love to do, because we want you to be successful and we want you to be able to reach your goals. And so we are normal family people. We all have families, we all have kids, we all have husbands who all have preferences and different desires, and we all have different takes. We all live in different areas of the country, so we even enjoy different types of food, actually like a wide variety of different type of food. And so if you are working with one of our coaches, do not be afraid to ask them, like, what should I be eating, or do you have suggestions of how I can make this? Do you have suggestions of how I can make this work for my kids or my family? Like, that's part of what you're paying for with a High Calling coach. And our coaches love to do that, because they love to see families thrive, and they love people, and they love to see you all be successful. So I hope that was helpful for some of you, and I will catch you later.